I don't want it all patchy back there. We want a nice consistent.
You don't want it all Apache, you want it Sioux and Cherokee.
Peace and joy, guys. Welcome back to another video, Drumhiller Farms. Hey, today I've got the Mule SX out, this old gal here, and we got the seed spreader on the back of her. It's something I mounted up years ago, and you can take it on and off, obviously. And Steve's got a bunch of old oats that were in one of his grain bins, and we're gonna try to plant them out in the woods where we're gonna be running our pastured pig operation. Now, we're just gonna spread them out there. We're not doing anything super scientific, like trying to drill them in there. It'd be too tough to do that anyways with the trees and downed timber here and there. So we're just gonna spread them the best we can. And hopefully by the time the pigs get here, which will be about a month and a half, we'll have some good sprouts, and should be a heck of a deal here. Let's go. I'm gonna be assembling this pig feeder finally, and I'll be taking a look at the water, how we're gonna water the pigs this year. So right now I gotta go pick up Steve. Before I go down to Steve's, I gotta load the wood stove. And I gotta go do some chores. While he's getting this seed loaded up, I'm gonna do chores, and then we'll meet back up. Experimental. We'll just stop eventually.
See what we can do.
This plugs right into the 12-volt lighter, and then you got a switch. We're spreading. Let me know if it quits. Watch your head. Is it still on?
Okay.
All right.
There's no internal agitator in this. It's just, so it might be better if I just pour it in as you go.
Yeah, because I haven't had that problem when I did this in the past. Well, folks, this might not work as well as we thought it would.
Or even worse.
Right. I don't want it all patchy back there. We want a nice consistent.
You don't want it all Apache, you want it Sioux and Cherokee.
Well, he's resorted to just throwing it out of the bag. Oats for everyone. Come get your oats. Yeah. May or may not work, but if it does, it'll be pretty sweet. Hello. See anything? Well, I tell you what, guys, it is a beautiful afternoon. We're supposed to be getting some 20-degree nights here coming up, so I'm just soaking in this sun right now while it lasts. Trying to not think about the cold front that's headed our way. Inside this packaging is the pig feeder. It's been a little while since I've ordered this. This was before I injured myself. I didn't even know if we're gonna be able to do pigs, but I got the go ahead. Let's see what this thing's all about. All right, this is the Osborne Big Wheel Feeder, model RF2. This holds up to 235 pounds and will feed up to 60 pigs. So I looked at several feeders and wanted something somewhat compact that I could mount to some skids and pull it from paddock to paddock. And this was about the best one I could find. Now, if anybody else has any other better feeders, I would love to hear about them. You know, unlike the pastured chicken and the rotational grazing operation we have, it seems as though the pastured pork is harder to find information on when you're looking for things like feeders and stuff like that, at least in my experience. You know, I looked really hard to find a good water and feeder, and it looks like everything that I am going to be purchasing is going to have to be modified a little bit to fit our operation. I seen homemade feeders and homemade waters, and I thought, yeah, I could definitely build one of those, but I don't know. This is the route I decided to go. So I'm gonna put this thing together and let's see what it's all about. All right, guys, well, it is a couple days later and I just finished the assembly on this hog feeder. And I gotta tell you, this thing was kind of a pain in the butt to put together. You've seen me struggle for a long time to get this connected to this bottom fiberglass piece here. And, you know, they did that to make it very tight. I understand. They said to use a rubber mallet to beat that thing on. I don't believe I ever would have got it with a rubber mallet. I had to use a real deal hammer. This lid is an option. This is not something that comes with the unit. You do have to purchase this separately. And I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but I remember I was very surprised on how much money that lid cost. It kind of just barely hooks on there. And then you can see these agitators inside here. What happens is the pigs will come up and they will move this with their nose, which turns another little set of arms down in the bottom of that. And these agitators get hooked by that arm and agitate the grain to keep it to spin down as well. You have an adjustment here that you can adjust on how much of an opening there is, and you can pretty much close it right off. And then the lid, it is spring loaded. It will sit on there for when you're not filling it. The reason why this probably comes without a lid is because these are primarily set up for confinement operations. They will suggest that you screw it down to the floor to keep the pigs from moving it around, which I'm going to mount it to some sort of a skid. I can hook up to it with my side-by-side and move it to the next paddock or just pull it over by hand. I do want to go out to the paddocks since Steve and I had spread those oats out there. I want to see if any of them sprouted. It's been several days, and I took off a couple days from work this week to get those paddocks finished. You can see I ordered a bunch of connectors. I got some stuff from Amazon. I got some stuff from Kenco. I ordered a couple things from Kenco. I also got some stuff coming from another fence supplier. I got some people coming over. Steve's gonna help me with them paddocks. Also a friend of mine, Jack, who I went over and pounded some posts for him while I had that post pounder that I rented. So he's gonna come over and repay the favor, I think, next week as well. Let's go out there and take a look and see if anything sprouted. So I haven't really been over on this side of the farm in a while because the cattle are all over on our lease farm. But I can see I got one tree limb down here on the fence I gotta take care of. So I'm gonna get out here with the saw and do something about that. It's been a long time since I've seen this flooded out like it is. This is the back side of one of our paddocks here. Several inches of water here. We have let this whole farm rest, and we have just fed a ton of hay on our lease farm all winter long. So there's a pretty good residual left of grass here. So I'm sure this will be the first farm that we hit when it comes time to graze. We left this in really good shape. All right, here we are, and I'm still seeing a lot of it. Oh man, that hurt. Anyways, you can see where we spread this out. And granted, we just kind of scattered this, so I don't expect anything super extravagant to happen here. All right, folks, here's a prime example of where I said we left a good residual of grass behind this fall. You know, a lot of this grass was up a lot taller than this, and you can see there's some good green coming through there. We left a great cover for the ground all winter long. You can see how tall some of this grass was that we left. It's now brown, but it didn't go to waste. I believe that should have fed the soil very well throughout the winter and should help us get a jump start come this spring when things start to grow. We're not out of the woods yet. There's a pretty good possibility here in Michigan we could have several snowstorms ahead of us yet. While I'm out here, I'm gonna do a quick hay inventory and count some hay bales and just see where we're sitting at. Bulls out there just enjoying the beautiful weather here. We had 87 bales at our one hay yard, and I just come down the road here to the other farm. I've got some stored down here, so I want to check and see how many we've got here as well. All right, I counted about 115 bales left. According to my calculations, we've got probably conservatively 45 days left to be feeding hay, and realistically that number's probably more like 30 to 35 days left. Today is April 2nd, so you know we're right at the beginning of April here. We generally would go out to pasture right at the end of April to the 1st of May, just depending on what kind of spring we get here. I do have to finish my day here by going to do chores, so I think I'll bring you along with me, and it's a beautiful day. Let's take a look at some cattle. Boy, this field's looking good and green from running those chickens on it. Oh, chicken tractor. Take a look at this, guys. A bald eagle. Look at that. My phone's about to, or this camera's about to die. Look at him. Wow. I don't know how well you can see that on camera, but that is a bald eagle. See his white head and white tail. I've had a couple other cattlemen tell me that their cows have been out of condition this year, and they've been supplementing with protein pellets and protein tubs and stuff because the hay quality just wasn't the best this year. This is some really good third cutting. I mean, you can see how green and tender that grass is. You know how much nutrients is in it? I can't tell you. It looks like there's a good amount of nutrients there. I have not gotten it tested, and most of the cattle look like they're doing pretty good, especially this one, number 7. That one will be going to market pretty quick here. As soon as we get out on pasture, she'll be going in and making a customer very happy because she is definitely finished. I would say that these cattle are not extremely hungry, although some of them are coming up here. A lot of them are just out there hanging out. I actually see a few of them chewing cud. Nobody's bellowing, hollering, looking for food. I'd say we're doing a good job feeding them this year. Guys, I'm very thankful to have this tractor, this cab, the bale unroller, but man, I hate using it this time of year, and be honest with you, I hate using the tractor for chores, period. One, look at it. It's just covered in mud. It's never been this dirty since I've owned it. And two, you can see areas in the pasture where it was wet when we fed hay, and I've left divots in the pasture. But unfortunately, the way my knee is, I don't have much of a choice. But I will say I definitely miss the Greg Judy bale unroller. You can see some of the cattle are starting to shed their winter hair coats. They've got a couple trees in this field they can scratch on, and they're starting to take advantage of it. 120, she definitely looks pregnant. Take a look at her, she's really starting to shed her winter hair coat off there. They start to look pretty scaly this time of year. You almost, if you didn't know any better, you'd think there was a problem with them. But here's a heifer we got from Judy, Greg Judy. She's definitely pregnant this year. I really like that girl. I was a little bit leery of her when we first picked her up, but she's turned into being a beautiful looking heifer, and I think she's gonna make a great cow. 04 is a heifer that we are not keeping. We will be taking her in for processing. 32, he'll be ready at the end of this year. This girl here has produced some beautiful calves for us, and I can show you her, well, number 30 right there is her steer from last year, and he's a little tank. He will be ready next year at this time. Another heifer we got from Greg Judy, that's 100% South Pole heifer. There's a little heifer in here that I want to show you. When we picked up those heifers from Greg Judy, we also picked up a couple bred cattle, bred cows. This is a steer we got while we were down there. He'll be finished out here this summer. There's a black one too right here. He's finished out. We're just gonna get him on pasture. Both of these will be some of the first ones we take in this coming summer. Interested into seeing this Murray calf. She missed. We thought she was pregnant last year and she wasn't, and so this year I'm gonna say she is definitely pregnant. But I want to show you that heifer. She's turning into be a nice looking heifer here. Very interested into keeping her around the farm and seeing if she can produce some more South Pole cattle for us. Here's where I'm talking about, guys. You've seen from last video these invasives just growing out in the middle of the pasture, and once I get the cattle out of here before this grows up this year, I need to get out here with that skid steer and pop a couple of those things up. They're kind of just scattered here and there. If you're new to the channel, we move cattle in the summer every 12 hours. It's something we started doing a few years ago with every 24-hour moves, and it made a huge difference on how many cattle we can run on our property, as well as how long we can graze into the year. I see the one I'm looking for over here, and she has turned into really something. This number 33, this was one of the first, well, this was the first heifer that was born from the cattle that we picked up from Greg Judy. We picked up some bred cows from him, probably some of his second choice. They looked pretty good for our herd, but she is going to stick around the farm here. She has turned into a nice looking heifer. Well, guys, I'm going to cut the video off here. Chores is about done. A lot of the same stuff going on the farm this time of year, so not a ton of interesting content, but I appreciate everyone who stuck around. If anyone's still watching the video, I appreciate you sticking around. And stay tuned to next week, because we're going to be setting up those paddocks for our pastured pig operation. And I've got a couple different ways I plan on setting up those paddocks. I think you guys might find it pretty interesting how I plan on doing the individual paddocks. So appreciate you watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. God bless.